You know that feeling when something just doesn't sit right? That gut punch you get that makes your heart skip a beat? Yeah, that's where I was when he told me he'd be working late. At first, I wanted to believe him. I mean, who doesn't have a busy week sometimes? But it wasn't just one night. It was every night, almost like clockwork. He'd say, "Babe, I gotta stay late again. Important meeting." Or, "I've got a big project deadline. I'm swamped." And I nodded, smiled, and said, "Okay, babe. I get it." But deep down, I felt this knot twisting tighter and tighter in my stomach. See, we've been together for about 3 years. We live together, have our routines, our inside jokes. I thought we were solid, you know? But lately, things changed. He started locking his phone when he used it. He'd jump if my name popped up on his screen. And he'd suddenly be too tired to talk when I asked about his day. That was new. One night, I stayed up late waiting for him to come home. The clock hit 11:30, then midnight, then 1 a.m. Finally, he came in smelling different, like some fancy cologne I hadn't seen before. And he was fidgety, like he couldn't wait to get to bed. That was the moment I knew. Something was up. He wasn't working late. Not really. I wanted proof, but more than that, I wanted answers. So I made a plan. The next time he said he'd be working late, I'd show up at his office. I had to see for myself what was going on behind my back. But, honestly, I was scared too. What if I was wrong? What if he was really working late and I was just being paranoid? But the feeling that I was being lied to was stronger than any fear. And that's how it all began. The next week, it happened again. He said those magic words I'd been hearing so often lately, "I've got to work late tonight." His voice sounded the same as always, calm, maybe a little tired, like he was just another guy stuck at the office with a mountain of work. I replied like I always did, with that automatic "okay, see you later," but this time, something in me wasn't going to sit still. That night, I didn't just stay home and wait. No way. I grabbed my coat from the rack by the door, slipped on my shoes quietly so I wouldn't wake him, or at least not make it obvious I was sneaking out. I wanted to be calm, like I was just going for a late walk or something normal, but inside, my heart was racing. I got in my car and started driving toward the office building downtown where he said he worked late. The place was one of those tall, shiny glass towers that looked like something out of a movie. It was all lit up with bright lights reflecting off the windows, making it seem important and busy, just how he described it. I parked a few blocks away, trying to act casual. I didn't want to seem like I was sneaking around or spying, even though that's exactly what I was doing. I checked the time on my phone. 8:45 p.m. Plenty of time to catch him if he really was there working. I took a deep breath, telling myself to stay calm and just get the facts. I walked into the building, feeling a little nervous but determined. Inside, it was mostly empty and eerily quiet compared to the daytime hustle and bustle I'd seen before. The only person I spotted was a security guard near the entrance. He gave me a quick glance that felt like a warning or maybe suspicion. I smiled and said, "I'm here to visit a coworker," trying to sound casual and confident even though my heart was pounding like crazy. The guard didn't ask any names or proof, he just nodded and let me through. I couldn't believe how easy it was to get inside. Maybe that was his mistake, thinking no one would actually show up unannounced. I took the elevator up to his floor, my palms starting to sweat. The office was mostly dark, but I could hear some soft typing noises and distant phone rings. The kind of sounds you'd expect late at night when most people have gone home but a few stragglers are still at their desks. I followed the signs to his department, trying not to make too much noise. My heart kept pounding, and I wondered what I would find. When I finally got to his desk, guess what? It was completely empty. No computer on, no scattered papers, no half-drunk coffee mug. Even his chair was pushed in like he hadn't been there all day. My stomach dropped. For a moment, I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe he was just out grabbing something quick. But the longer I stared, the more I knew something was off. Maybe he was in a meeting, I told myself. So I didn't give up. I walked over to the nearby conference rooms, hoping to catch a glimpse or hear something. But every door I checked was either locked or empty. That's when I noticed the security monitor on the receptionist's desk nearby. It showed the front door of the building. On the screen, I saw a man walking out, and it was him. The timestamp showed 7 p.m. Wait, what? He told me he'd be working late, But he left hours ago. My heart skipped a beat. I asked the receptionist for a moment alone, pretending I needed to check something. I watched the camera feed closely. Yep. Definitely him. Walking out, calm, like he had no reason to rush back in. No glances over the shoulder. No hesitation. Just gone. Shock hit me first, then anger started bubbling up. The realization that he'd lied to me, that all those working late nights were fake, it stung more than I expected. I felt 1,000 questions flood my mind. Who was he with? Why lie? Was this just a one-time thing, or had it been going on for a while? But for now, all I knew was he wasn't where he said he'd be. And that was just the beginning. So now I knew for sure he lied. But I wasn't about to just go home, curl up in a ball, and cry about it. Nope, that's not my style. Instead, I decided it was time to confront him, face to face, eyes wide open, no more guessing games. But here's the thing, I wanted to do it smart. No yelling, no dramatic scenes that make you look like you're losing it. Well, not right away, at least. I just wanted the truth. Plain and simple. Because honestly, that's all I wanted. I got back in my car and drove home, my mind racing but trying to stay cool. I didn't want to jump the gun or say the wrong thing. I just needed to get this out in the open. When I walked in the door, he was already there. He tried to act casual, like nothing was up. Maybe he thought I'd just roll over and believe the working late story again. But I could see it, right in his eyes. He knew I had caught him. I didn't wait long before I sat him down, right there on the couch. No time to waste. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice calm but serious, I went to your office tonight. His face went frozen, like I'd just thrown a cold bucket of water on him. There was this awkward pause where he looked like he was trying to think of a way out. Then, he tried to laugh it off, like it was some joke. What? Why would you do that? He asked, his tone a little shaky but trying to sound casual. I kept my cool, but my words were sharp. Because you told me you'd be working late. But the security cameras show you left at 7 p.m. Tell me what's really going on. He stammered, struggling to find the right words. I swear, it's not what you think. I looked him dead in the eyes, not letting him off the hook. Then tell me. Because I'm done with the lies. There was silence for a moment. The kind of silence that makes you lean in closer, waiting for the next move. He swallowed hard, and then, finally, started talking, slowly, nervously, like he was trying to choose his words carefully. I had some stuff to take care of after work. I didn't want you to worry. It wasn't about cheating or anything like that. I raised my eyebrow. Then why lie? Why not just tell me the truth? He looked down, ashamed, and said, I thought it would be easier. I didn't want to start a fight. That hit me harder than I expected. Because honestly, I was tired of all the sneaking around and half-truths. I wanted us to be real, no matter how messy the truth might be. So, what were you doing? I pressed, my voice softer now but still firm. He hesitated, then finally admitted, I met an old friend. We had some drinks, caught up. That's it. I could see the honesty in his eyes now, but the trust was already cracked. I sighed, running my hands through my hair. Look, I don't mind if you meet friends or hang out. But if you're going to lie about it, then what's the point? It's not about the drinks or the friend, it's about respect. And right now, I don't feel respected. He nodded slowly, looking genuinely sorry. You're right. I messed up. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But something inside me wasn't ready to let go just yet. That night, I went to bed with a mix of anger and sadness swirling inside me. I knew things weren't going to be the same again. And honestly, I wasn't sure if they ever could be. But one thing was clear, I wasn't going to be fooled anymore. At first, when I confronted him, he straight up denied everything. You know that classic move, acting like nothing's wrong, like you're just imagining things? Yeah, that. He told me he wasn't doing anything sketchy. I was just stepping out for some fresh air, he said. Like that made it okay to disappear for hours. Then, he switched it up a little and said he was grabbing dinner, alone, apparently, and didn't think it was a big deal to lie about it. But the stories kept shifting. One minute it was fresh air, the next it was dinner, and then he said maybe he had to run some errands. It was clear he was scrambling to find something that sounded believable. I looked at him, my patience running thin but still holding on, and I said, "Look, you don't have to lie. Just tell me the truth." He looked away and stayed quiet for a long moment. You could almost see the fight inside him, whether to keep lying or finally come clean. Then, finally, he broke. He admitted it. He wasn't working late at the office. He hadn't been there at all. Instead, he had been hanging out with someone else. Someone he didn't want me to know about. I stared at him, waiting for the name, the explanation, something. So I asked, "Who?" There was hesitation. A long pause. Then, "It's complicated." That was the worst answer possible. I wasn't about to let him off the hook that easy. I pushed harder. "No, it's not complicated. Just be honest with me." And that's when the truth came out. He was seeing someone else, a girl from work. They'd been texting for weeks, meeting secretly after hours, probably laughing about how good they were at keeping it all hidden. The working late excuse? Pure cover. I felt like a storm had exploded inside me, hurt, betrayal, confusion, disbelief all mixing into one. How could he do this to me? After everything we'd been through together? After all those plans, all those promises? But I stayed calm. That was the hardest part, honestly. The anger was there, simmering just beneath the surface. But I didn't want to lose myself in yelling or crying. I wanted to keep some control, some dignity. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "If you want to be with her, then just say it. Don't lie to me. Don't drag me along in this mess." His face twisted with guilt, but he didn't say the words. Instead, he said something that broke me even more. "I'm not ready to choose yet." Can you imagine that? Here I was, standing there, raw and open, and he's saying he's not ready. Not ready to pick me, or her, or any path at all. Just stuck in this gray space of lies and secrets. That was the moment it hit me. The truth wasn't just that he was cheating. The truth was he never really respected what we had enough to be honest. I wanted to scream, to cry, to ask why. But I just took a deep breath and looked away, because the answer didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what I was going to do next. That night, I realized something crucial. I deserved better. I deserved someone who wouldn't lie, who wouldn't hide behind fake stories or sneak around. Someone who would face the hard stuff head on with me. And if he couldn't do that, then maybe it was time for me to walk away. I didn't say it then. I just let the silence fill the room. But inside, a fire had been lit, a fire that would not be put out easily. Because sometimes, the worst truth is the one that sets you free. The days that followed felt like I was walking through fog. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt real. I was in a daze, eating without tasting, moving without thinking, existing but not really living. My brain was stuck on replay, going over every conversation, every moment, every "I love you" he ever said. And all I could ask myself was any of it real? Part of me wanted to forgive him. Not because I thought he deserved it, but because I was scared of letting go. I'd invested so much into that relationship. Time, love, trust. The idea of starting over from scratch felt terrifying. There was this small voice in my head whispering, "Maybe he just made a mistake. Maybe you can work through this." I hated that voice. The other part of me? Oh, it wanted to scream. It wanted to tear down every photo of us, delete every text, every memory. That part of me was angry, furious, betrayed. And honestly, that side started winning. I cried a lot during those few days. Not just once or twice. Like, ugly cried. In the shower, on the couch, even while folding laundry. My emotions would sneak up on me out of nowhere. I'd be halfway through making a sandwich, and then boom, tears again. My heart felt like it had been punched repeatedly. I talked to my friends. They were supportive, but also brutally honest. One of them said, "Girl, if he lied once, he'll lie again. You know that, right?" Another said, "You don't owe him forgiveness. You owe yourself peace." And my sister, she just held me as I cried and whispered, "You deserve someone who chooses you every day. Not someone who makes you feel like an option." Their words stuck with me. They echoed in my mind when I was lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do next. I even, for a hot second, thought about giving him another chance. Maybe we could go to therapy, maybe he'd come to his senses, maybe things could go back to how they were. But every time I thought about it, something inside me twisted with discomfort. My gut was screaming at me, and for once, I decided to listen. One evening, I made myself a cup of tea, lit a candle, and sat down at my desk. I pulled out a notebook and just started writing. Not for anyone else, just for me. I wrote down everything. How I felt when I found out. How shattered I was. How humiliated I felt. How the love I gave him felt wasted. How the trust he broke wasn't just about that one lie, but about every lie that could come after. Then I wrote what I wanted. I wanted peace. I wanted honesty. I wanted someone who didn't make me question my worth. I wanted love that didn't come with conditions or secrets. And most of all, I wanted to never feel this small again. I realized something so clear it almost hurt. Trust is everything. Without it, a relationship is just two people pretending. Without trust, there's no safety, no comfort, no real connection. He didn't just cheat on me, he cheated me out of the relationship I thought we had. And that was the moment I stopped blaming myself. I stopped making excuses for him. I stopped wondering if I could have done something different. Because this wasn't about what I lacked. It was about what he didn't value. And that, right there, was the beginning of my healing. So, I made a choice. Not an easy one. Not the kind that makes you feel instantly better, but the kind that feels right in your soul. I sat him down one last time. I told him I needed space. I told him I wasn't sure if we could fix this. I wasn't angry. I wasn't screaming. I was just done. He begged. He cried. He promised he'd change. Promised he'd be honest. Promised he'd go to therapy, cut off the other girl, do whatever it takes. But by then, it was too late. I didn't need more promises, I needed peace. I had to protect my heart first. Because he didn't. It was weird at first. The silence. The empty side of the bed. The temptation to text him just one more time, to ask why. But I resisted. I stayed strong. I started focusing on me for the first time in a long time. I threw myself into work, crushed a big project at the office and even got noticed by upper management. I went out more with my friends, laughed until my stomach hurt, danced like nobody was watching, even if I still cried in the shower sometimes. And you know what? It felt good. No, it felt amazing. It felt amazing to stop pretending everything was okay. To stop living in fear of the next lie. To stop giving all my love to someone who didn't know what to do with it. I reconnected with myself. The version of me that didn't walk on eggshells. The version that trusted her instincts. The version that knew what she deserved. Because here's the truth, if you ever feel that knot in your stomach, that sick little twist telling you something's off, listen to it. Your gut rarely lies. And when someone makes you feel like you have to play detective in your own relationship, that's not love. That's survival. Love should never make you anxious. Love should never make you question your own worth. So no, I didn't take him back. I didn't wait around for him to choose me. I chose myself. I won't lie and say it didn't hurt. It did. But healing hurts too, and healing leads somewhere beautiful. Fast forward a few months, I'm thriving. I've grown so much. I've learned to trust myself again. I've learned that walking away doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're wise enough to know what's no longer good for you. And honestly, if I had to go through all that just to find my strength again, then maybe it was worth it. And that's the story, y'all. He lied about working late. So I showed up at his office and found out the truth. Not the ending I wanted, but definitely the one I needed. If you've ever been in a situation like this, just know, you're not crazy, and you're not alone. Trust your gut. Protect your peace. And don't settle for someone who makes love feel like a guessing game. If this story hit you in the feels, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, because I've got more real, raw, and relatable stories coming your way. Drop a comment below. Have you ever caught someone lying like this? Or did your gut ever save you from a messy situation? I want to hear it all. Until next time, stay strong, stay smart, and always choose you.